Hey guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. If you get anything from my work, a mic drop, a connect the dot, a mind-blown moment, please consider supporting my work. All the links will be at the description box below the video. And I really want to thank everybody who has supported me, kept me alive, fed, and well. Still waiting for things to clear at the bank. A little amount was able to clear, and I was able to tackle Amazon because I needed a cat tent, litter box for travel bowls, harnesses so that those two don't get away, and a travel kit where both of them can be in there and go to the litter box at the same time. Holy crap. And I could also use the boxes, so it worked. Yeah. So I'm hoping within the next week I get notified on what's going on, and then I can get a storage and then movers, and then all the fun begins on that crazy end. So yeah, so I do apologize. I haven't been on as much as I usually do, but I am getting myself as packed as I can be with what I have. So, Realms of the Living Dead. This is chapter 8, the Ethereal Realm. I'm really excited for this one. Quote, I am gone before your face, a moment worth a little space. When ye come where I have stepped, ye will wonder why ye wept. After death in Arabia, Arnold. Quote, for people have any acquaintance with scientific history to shut their eyes to facts when definitely announced, and to forbid investigation or report concerning them on pain of ostracism is to initiate a bygone theological attitude in a spirit of unintended flattery, a flattery which from every point of view is eccentric. End quote. Raymond Lodge. The ethereal realm is the realm into which the astral body rises after it has gotten rid of the densest earth magnetism and the strongest of the earth attractions. In other words, after the person has given up the idea that it is necessary to stay near the earth in order to exist or remain in touch with his loved ones, or that he must still try to influence and control the administration of the affairs he left behind in the physical world. The realm is the abode of the majority of intelligent persons who have been away from the physical world long enough to learn the lessons of the lower realm of reflection, and who are gaining greater freedom from earthly ties and reaching up for a still higher and more spiritual life, or who, as often happens, learn many of the lessons of the realm of reflection while still on earth, hence pass rapidly through the lower realms after leaving the physical. This realm is what was formerly called the Summerland by the spiritualists of the last century. Here there are branches of the great schools of learning, which are situated in the higher realms, established here for the training of those in these realms who desire to progress and wish to understand the laws and conditions by which their new life is governed. But the majority of the inhabitants of the realm continue, for the most part, to pursue activities similar to those which occupy their attraction while in the realm of reflection, but in a way more suited to their changed conditions. From this realm, as well as from the lower realm of reflection, the departed ones can return and assume physical control of subjective medium and temporarily incarnate in the medium's body and use it as they please. But in doing so, They not only invariably bring back with them and reproduce in the medium the same physical conditions which they passed out, but they also throw these conditions of suffering, grief, etc., over the loved ones or any sensitive whom they approach. This is until they have been taught to communicate not through the subject control, but through the normal and independent method, which will be described later on. Ghost, the movie, if that makes sense to people. It should therefore be understood as fundamental law of the astral world that without special training, no person in the astral can come close enough to contact the aura of his friend or earth without unconsciously and automatically bringing with him and imposing on the earthly friend the physical, astral, and mental conditions which he suffered from or experienced as he left the body at death. This explains why many sensitive persons soon develop the symptoms of malaise with which a deceased loved one passed out. Some persons suffer just as acutely as though they really had such a physical disease. Yet a careful physical examination reveals all the vital organs in a normal condition. These cases are often diagnosed as imagination or neurosis, or even hysteria and insanity by physicians who are not familiar with the results of psychic research or the laws of occultism. Such patients are simply suffering from the astral conditions unwittingly thrown over them by the deceased loved one who is trying to make them recognize him. And the stronger the tie was between them, the greater the influence and subsequent suffering. This frequently ceases or is cured when they recognize its source. It should be stopped by repetitively challenging the depart one of demanding that he withdraw from their aura and remaining outside it in the future. For such psychic conditions, if long continued, may actual and act reflectively and set up the actual disease in the physical form. Physical mediums have this ability. And set up the actual disease in the physical form. These are the stubborn cases which have been given up by old doctors, yet are so frequently cured by Christian science, affirmations, etc., the study, instruction, and personal magnetism of the healer, and the resulting discussion, making the departed one more or less aware of his responsibility for the conditions and inducing him to withdraw. Such psychic effects are strongest in the case of those who passed out through incident and accident, in war, or with acute and short illnesses. But both above, all they are strongest in the case of suicide, since all such persons have not lived out their normal physical life period, nor been prepared for life in the astral world by a gradual loosening of the bonds of the flesh. They pass out full of physical magnetism, life force, and desire for a continued life in the physical world, hence have a stronger and more physical force to throw over their left behind. In the former cases, the deceased will be met by friends and loved ones on the other side and be taught how best to gain and desired recognition, or how best to get along with it, while in the latter, they are suddenly projected into the astral unannounced and unexpected, and must learn to shift for themselves. When the densest of earth conditions, thoughts, and magnetism eliminated from their astral bodies, the inhabitants of this realm are no longer such accurate duplicates of their earthly bodies and personalities. While it is possible for those who pass on in childhood or in full vigor of youth, manhood, or womanhood to reincarnate quickly from this realm without passing on into the higher realms and higher worlds to complete their cycle of manifestation, it is by no means common. Those who do reincarnate without entering the higher realms are less well equipped for their new earth life, just as a child who leaves school before his education is completed is more or less handicapped by his lack of advanced training. Those who do continue onward in their normal cycle through the realms continue to grow and develop. Never do they grow old, however, but reach a full soul maturity and are clothed in a form which expresses the point of evolution and development, which their soul had obtained, and remain at that point. Hence there are child souls who appear as beautiful children, and they are mature souls whose age is shown only by the look of wisdom, although they may have left the physical world in childhood. Those who do, under special circumstances and conditions, reincarnate immediately, merely live out their unexpired term of their former life period. Hence, the new life often ends abruptly. On the other hand, those who have passed on during old age or after a depleting illness grow younger until the period of the most perfect state of vigorous maturity, or the point of their soul development is reached, and they remain in this perfect state until they leave behind them the dense astral body and pass on into the higher realms. Never is there old age in this or higher realms. Truth. I think both my parents picked ages between 25 and 30. Both of the above classes, however, as they return to commune with their friends on earth, find it necessary to assume at first the exact appearance by which they were known on earth, lest their friends fail to recognize them in their changed appearance. For instance, the soul passing on as an infant would always present itself at first as an infant, although in reality it may have obtained maturity, while an aged person would present himself with all the marks of the age and feebleness, although reality restored to the full vigor of maturity. And we have a Morgan cat visiting us here. She says hi. The inhabitants of this realm can see the physical condition of their mortal friends. Only when these friends are thinking about them and sending them their magnetism, or when the necessity earthly magnetism is furnished by a medium. In all cases, communion is easier if the mortals send the departed one's love and sympathy. Also, if they know something of their afterlife, those still in the flesh can then be of the greatest help to their loved ones who have passed on by studying the laws of the higher realms, not merely dabbling in phenomena, and by familiarizing themselves with the spiritual truths and philosophy, such as promulgated by the order of the Christian mystics. For if a mental call is sent to the loved ones, they will come and study with the mortal and thus rapidly learn the true explanation of the merely puzzling problems which confront them in the higher life. Also, they can more readily grasp the truth of the teachings and see deeper in their meaning. And in the return, they can make it easier for the mortal loved ones to grasp them. Definite periods for study together can thus be made, and such appointments be scrupulously kept by those in the astral world. It is an impolite for the mortal not to keep an appointment made with the astral friend, as it would be to break an engagement with the physical friend. While those in the astral are, as it were, a step above those in the physical world, and can see many events and conditions somewhat before they manifest on earth, just as a person standing on a platform can see over the herds and heads of the crowd and tell them what is approaching, no matter how sincere they may be, they can seldom predict accurately time of physical manifestation for that which they see. This is because there are so many currents of force, either earthly or karmic, which may intervene between that which seems destined and the time of the physical manifestation, that may either hasten or retard the event. Again, there is no time on earth measure. It is those realms. For time, there is marked by experience, or rather sensation. Therefore, if a mortal felt a very strong desire for an event to come, which was plainly seen by an excarnate one, it would be described as coming quickly, or even to be here, according to the strong sensation of desire sent out by the mortal. Or if it were dreaded, the excarnate one might see it as far off. While the thing we dread is really drawn to us, yet in this world of sensation, especially in this etheric realm, the greatest sensation is that of love. So when inhabitants of the realm come to loved ones on earth, they are so filled with love for the mortal that, not yet having obtained all wisdom, their greatest desire is to comfort them. Hence, the thing the loved one longs for is seen quickly, plainly, by the excarnate one and appears very close, while the thing dreaded is pushed back out of vision. This partly accounts for the many serious mistakes made in messages received from the astral world. The other beings, due to ignorance or malice, and often intentional and elaborate deception. In this realm, the clothing is somewhat different from that commonly used in the realm of reflection. For while many people wear one of them for some time, even years, costumes similar to those that they had been in the habit of wearing on earth. Later on, most of the belongings to Christian nations don white robes. This is largely the result of the orthodox thoughts held by so many years, while on earth, namely, a white robe is the proper costume for life after death. Hence, they are clad in it as naturally as a tree is clad with leaves. Also, white represents purity, and since it is in the ethereal realm that many of the higher deals and desires held while on earth are experienced and worked out, those who have learned to value purity are trying to express it in this way. In this realm, there are many of the old philosophers and men of science who have made for themselves what might be called a little heaven of their own, in which they surround themselves with the thought forces they themselves create when on earth, and these are continually strengthened by the thought forces of all similar minded persons on earth, sometimes such an one lives in this mental isolation for centuries, just as they did for years on earth. Again, there are those philanthropists who have built up some utopian ideal for the betterment of humanity, perhaps have sought to find a colony which has failed on earth. They do find the colony and live in it until the defects which make it fail on earth become so apparent to the founder that he leans his lessons from them. Then the colony likewise is dissolved, all that is good being withdrawn. The mistake lives only as a soul memory and will be avoided in the next earth life. There are those in this realm who are laboriously following modes of life which they had built up while on earth as representing their ideal of attainment. Here we find churches of all denominations filled with devout worshippers listening to sermons on their favorite subject. Here we find monasteries in which devout priests live lives of extreme simplicity and abstinism, spending long hours in prayer and fasting and following most conscientiously the highest ideals of the monastic life, as they had always longed to, but have never been able to fully express on earth. Here also are societies of devout nuns, sisters of charity, etc., as well as splendid centers for almost every religion, in which all things the devotees long for on earth, yet never obtained and experienced. Here also are model homes, model farms, settlements, tenements, cities, and every dream of the philanthropist apparently fulfilled. For this realm is where dreams seem to come true. Or, put it too truthfully, this is the realm in which all the religious and utopian dreams attempted on earth must be experienced to the fullest degree conceived on earth until the force which put them forth has been exhausted and it is realized that they are still imperfect. This will only when the soul has found that it still longs for something greater, that all these perfected material things so longed for on earth still still fall far short of perfect bliss. They are enjoyed here for a time, as a child will continue to amuse itself with certain toys until it outgrows them. Ultimately, the soul also outgrows these earthly toys, sooner or later, according to how much true unselfishness, true humanitarianism, and love is contained in them. But gradually, the soul learns through experience just where all these things fall short, hence is ready to see something higher, at which time it dies to this realm and passes on to the higher realms. Many wear robes of red, yellow, blue, or other colors, some light and beautiful, others dark and somber, according to their own inner spiritual qualifications. As we have said in a previous chapter, in the lower realms, the emanations from physical things are built into the corresponding astral creations, but as the higher realms are reached, the denser emanations fade out or left behind, the clothing being built out of the characteristic substance of each realm of each world. This is the realm reached in light sleep, during the admiration of anesthetics, during certain forms of trance, and in mild delirium. Chapter 9, the vital realm or realm of formation. Quote, behold the hosts of souls. Watch how they hover over the stormy sea of human life, and how exhausted, bleeding, broken wings, they drop one after the other on the swelling waves. Tossed by fierce winds, chased by the gale, they drift into the eddies and disappear within the first great vortex. End quote. The Voice of Silence, Blavatsky. The realm of life force, or the vital realm, is the one in which the life force is taking on forms and animating them. It is the realm into which the ideals, thought forms, or patterns of all things destined to manifest on earth descend into materialism. That is to say, all that is projected outward as an ideal or idea from the divine mind, as well as that is created by the mind of man, must in the course of its descending arc take on more and more materialized stages of embodiment until it finally reaches a physical expression. It is in this vital realm that the various currents of life force flow into and through the pattern of thought form of the thing to be manifested, carrying with them the ethereal and astral matter, building it into the thought pattern until the thought pattern takes on limitations of matter and becomes an object, astral form, ready to descend one step further into the still denser and still more limited physical world. Pause. Fallen angels, they didn't really fall, they fell into materialism. Just putting that one out there. The astral model thus formed, in its turn, has the inherent tendency to absorb or build matter into itself, and the water vapor in it tends to disintegrate or dissolve physical forms not held coherent by the life force, as rain dissolves on clod. Hence, the forms described in the previous chapter as being created in the etheric realm are ultimately dissolved and disintegrated for being but the building of astral etheric matter into the ideals or thought forms created during earth life. When the vital life force or spiritual reality is poured into them, they are like summer mist dissolved by the sun. It is in this realm that the ideal pattern of the body form desired by the soul seeking incarnation descends and takes on an astral form or body. It is probably some phase of this realm which Metternich sense and so beautifully described in The Blue Bird, where the souls of many children are represented as hovering over the earth seeking incarnation. There is, however, a difference between Metterlinck's, sorry guys, I don't know his named properly. Poetical vision and reality. For a while, what seemed to be a host of souls wait this realm for an opportunity to incarnate without leaving the astral and passing into the higher worlds of bliss, rushing downward at every opening of the door into incarnation, literally surrounding every expectant mother. The less developed ones fighting for a chance to take possession, the struggle often producing those sudden changes of character, outbreaks of hysteria, etc., exhibited by many mothers during the first few months of their preterm. Yet the great majority of souls do not incarnate in this way. The majority, after passing through the various realms of the astral world, pass into the higher worlds, where they are united to their Father in heaven, their progenitor. These souls are returning to incarnation, descended into a special division of the astral world called the Halls of Bliss, where they are specially prepared to take step earthward. Among these are the advanced ones who have chosen to incarnate to accomplish a certain mission, and who have likewise chosen their parents and their environments. I'm one of those. Many of you are too. For reals. Sorry guys, I lost my little place here. Among these are the advanced ones who have chosen to incarnate to accomplish a certain mission, and who have likewise chosen their parents and their environments. These, after their descended form, the higher worlds, wait to what might be compared to an anteroom during a period in which they deliberately make preparation, the first step of which to wean themselves from the memory of the life of bliss in which they have revealed during their existence in the higher worlds. During this period, they gradually fall into a sort of dreaming sleep in which they forget the life just completed and instead are filled with dreams of great compassion for humanity, great desire to enter earth life to help and comfort, or to fill some great mission left incomplete in past lives, or sometimes with only great love and eagerness to come into touch with a certain mother or family. Such preparation is necessary to advance souls, for without it, the memory of their heaven home would make earth life intolerable to them. Many undeveloped ones simply swarm earthward, drawn by the great attraction of sensation, and either entirely ignorant or unmindful of anything else. They have gone no further than the etheric realm, hence are driven into incarnation again by desire for more earthly experiences, that they may have more sensation. This realm may therefore be called the dark room or cabinet of the earth, for it serves the same purpose as does the cabinet of the materializing medium. All materialization follows the same law, but in this case, it is the nature and natural and inevitable materialization of that which is on the positive or downward or descending into manifestation, while the materialization which takes place in a seance room is an artificial attempt to bring back into the physical manifestation those who are the upward arc of evolution. Since in this practice all the normal currents are reversed, such an attempt might necessarily be abnormal or degenerating. We do not question the phenomena produced at materialization, but we deplore the method generally employed. In this realm, there are two distinct currents of force, one which is gathering the creative forces from the higher spiritual realms, the vital life force, which is ever flowing downward through the lower astral realms and is eternally bringing into formation the true spiritual conceptions of those things which are to manifest on earth, and an upward current which is unfolding and the disintegrating and transmuting all other forms. Just as we have said that the ideals of the etheric realm are gradually dissolved, we might roughly compare this realm to the retort of an alchemist, into which the base metals are placed with the flames, lift up the gases, melt the metals, and ultimately produce new substance, gold. When students occasionally succeed in penetrating the upper strata of the realm, They enter a condition of intense darkness in which swirling and often terrifying currents of force, like winds, are encountered which seem almost to tear them to pieces. These currents produce vortices of force, which gyrate with various rates of speed, and since they are continually sucking astral matter into the patterns or molds, they would tend to disintegrate the astral body of one who lingered too long in close proximity to them. This is often confused with the outer darkness, so often referred to in various scriptures, in which state there is weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, where the various currents vibrate, purr, and sing, or wail and howl like so many demons. Here is also heard the wail of the soulless entities whose bodies are being disintegrated. The Active Side of Infinity by Carlos Castaneda kind of, not demonically, but kind of tells you like the dark night of the soul and the journey of the other worlds and the things that they see as shamans, kind of describes something very similar to what was just described. Very eerie. Under certain conditions, these currents are strong enough to sweep the astral body of a mortal out of its path of evolution or even out of incarnation, or they could sweep the astral body of deceased mortal away from its astral companions and all earthly ties. Therefore, students should never seek to penetrate the upper strata of the vital realm without a good reason for so doing and without the guidance of one who knows and is able to project him. Again, the current of blackness is the river Archeon, which the soul must cross to reach the higher realms. Hence the prayers to be found in all religions for the safe passage and protection of the departed. While the upper strata of this third realm are intensely and almost palpably dark and black, its lowest strata is intensely vivid and scintillating with a brilliant play of color, full of the most gorgeous flowers, ravishing melodies, and intoxicating perfumes. One whose consciousness vibrates to the lower strata of this realm would seem to be mightily kaleidoscope of ever-changing forms, some rising like cloud pictures only to be dissipated, others swirling around or floating aimlessly, yet momentarily taking on new forms. The colors, sounds, perfumes, etc. exist here in mass, awaiting embodiment in the various forms to which they are affinitized, much the same as masses of color are poured out on an artist's palette, awaiting their embodiment in the picture. Besides the soul waiting for incarnation, the inhabitants of this realm are swiftly flying angelic beings in the higher classes of elementals, which will be treated of in other chapter. Here also the thought forms of all the inventions, scientific conceptions, and philanthropic plans, which have been conceived in the mental realm of the astral world as a result of the mind of some mortal response to the ideal of the thing which exists in the mental world far above the astral, descend to be embodied in the astral matter. These astral models do not remain in this realm, however, but are swept down into the etheric realm by the growing, downpouring currents of manifestation. There they remain until someone can give them some form of physical expression. If they are abandoned and not given physical expression, as soon as the creative mental force which conceived them is exhausted, they again descend into the vital realm, where their form is disintegrated and as much of the ideal as they embodied is released to return to its source in the mental world. If they are not expressed, yet are not abandoned by their conceiver, they remain in the etheric realm to greet him when he passes into the astral, where he will continue to perfect them. Those who are perfected remain in a special stratum between the vital and etheric realms as perfected models. Here, in what might be called the pattern museum, are the wonderful inventions of the ancient Atlanteans and others, including aeroplanes, etc., which reached great perfection because they brought forth for the earlier races until the direct guidance of the masters as a child paints a perfect picture with the teacher guiding his hand. All these newly found patterns are phrases of the manifestation of the ideals that have just come into concrete expression, fresh from the dark room above and before the seeds of karma have begun to unfold and modify them. Goodness sakes. The karmic seeds usually modify the perfect expression in the direct or imperfect, and for the limitation, because by the time the actual form is reached, the ideal is embodied in a more or less crude state, and his more ideal expression must be achieved through evolution in the physical world. The mistakes of the past must be subtracted from the ideal, hence modify and limit the perfect pattern. For instance, the soul desiring to incarnate builds up a perfect mental pattern of the kind of body it desires to have on earth, and this pattern is embodied in astral matter in the vital realm. But as soon as the perfect model is fashioned, there is automatically and magnetically attracted to it the karma of the past life. This karma may so greatly modify the perfect model that it may be born defective or even crippled or diseased. Such a modified model might be far from one desired by the soul, but would be the best it could create in view of the causes it had set up in this past life. This model would be further modified by the physical and mental hereditary, also the facial and body appearances of the family through which the incarnation took place. I'm going to leave it there. Next time, the desired realm. So hope you guys enjoyed this little short read. Really interesting to say the least, and it makes sense as to how some of our inventions and just plucking ideas out of the ether comes to us from that black little void of space. Maybe. Depends. Sending you love and light, everybody, and protection and shielding from the craziness of this world. Again, I am going to try to pump a little bit more out before I move, before I'm in limbo, because I'm not moving to I'm going to be in a hotel, motel, whatever. I don't even know where I'm going. And I don't know when. It all depends upon movers. So, yeah, things are a little crazy. So I'm going to try to do 1 or 2 a day, so that we can get this pumped out, and then I'll have probably a few days where I won't be here. Maybe not, I don't know. So until next time, guys, and I really want to thank everybody. Please don't forget to hit that like button, share and subscribe to my channel, because in my absence, that means everything goes wrong. And this knowledge needs to get out because people need to understand what's going to happen to us in our physical body, which has everything to do with this book. Just saying. And we need to understand all these realms and all these things. And we interlace all these things with other books, like the Urantia book, for just one example. Till next time, guys. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.